Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, more voter repression. Also, definitely don't say gay. And Susan Dubose is a champion of censorship.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Ding dong, the witch is still alive. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, columnist and investigative reporter at APR. Welcome.
Hey, y'all.
Hey,
How's it going?
So, new studio.
looks great, doesn't it?
It's all right.
Never one to be overwhelmed, are you, Josh?
I'm just, glad y'all didn't have to travel.
Well, it is so nice to just see you outside of Zoom and have you here.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I've got out of the house for a little while.
Yeah, that'd be good. It never seems to shock. There is no shock to politics. But the pure hypocrisy that we see right now is just outstanding in its nature. I'm not going to paint Republicans in a broad brush here. But there are some who, when they're campaigning, say one thing and then practice another type of politics. And one such person is Susan Dubose. She's a Republican from Hoover. She's a House of Representative member. She's only been in office less than a year, Susan. And she...
Well, it seems like longer.
Yeah. When they're awful, it really seems longer. Mm-hmm. But she came out when she was running, and even on her website today, it says she's for less government and more liberties for individuals. Mm-hmm. However, this is the woman who's leading the crusade to defund libraries who do not comply with her narrow worldview. Now, this is becoming popular among some Republicans, but it is not popular with people who use the libraries.
No, it is not. And what they wanted to do is ban books that have anything to do with race, sex, or sexuality of any kind. And I think Mrs. Dubose is basically wanting individual liberties as defined by hers, which is what's happening across the country right now, with them wanting to go in and ban books and keep children from them and not give the control to the parents of what their children are reading.
Yeah. Josh, she says she's real big on parents' rights, but only according to her own dictates, right?
Yeah, well, I like what she says that she's for more liberties. It's kind of like how it went in the Constitution. They said all men are created equal, except for,
Yeah, except for you.
And it's the same thing here. It's, we're talking about libraries where they have books so you can go in and be educated. You can go in and read about things that you need information on. And that's what I don't understand this phony outrage. And what I really don't understand is this attitude of Republicans who are reacting to it. Like Governor Kay Ivey, for example, who has reacted to this. Well, it's a tiny group of people. It is a tiny, small sliver of people. They couldn't even ban books in Coleman.
Right.
For God's sakes, because the greater group of people, even conservatives out here, are look at this and think, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We're talking about a library. If you don't want your kids to read it, go in with them and don't let them pick up that book.
That's right. That's right. And, this restriction of knowledge goes to every century you can find it. You find it even today in totalitarian governments, in theocracies, in authoritarian governments. But it's not something that's really something that you would expect in 2023. One state just passed, I think it was Pennsylvania, passed a law where they banned banning books.
It's unbelievable that we even have to have the conversation about this. It really is. In this day and age that we're talking about banning books or moving books off of shelves and rearranging the library. And, and it's just, it's so absurd. And you talk to people, like just normal people about this, and they look at you like you've got a third eye in your head. They're like, what are you talking about? We don't know anything about this. It's
shouldn't we
such a
be-
small group of people.
Shouldn't we be grateful they're actually picking up books instead of
Yeah.
the internet? Well, you can get any of this stuff on the internet any day, anytime.
Yeah, and the two things that bother me, especially about Dubose, is that she's a liar because she accused the North Shelby Library of holding this massive Pride display, which was minuscule.
Yeah.
And then she said there were multiple complaints, which the library board said, no. There was like one or two people said, I don't kind of like that. The vast majority of some 9,000 people that went to the library during that period didn't say a word.
Yeah, they don't care. It's because people, the majority of people are just like, let's live and let live.
Yeah,
At this point, we thought we were past this with Roy Moore and his shenanigans and stuff. Why are we going back to this?
Yeah.
Why is this a thing?
Yeah.
Well, it's like my daddy used to say. She talks out of both sides of her mouth.
Yeah.
And so, in other words, she says one thing over here and she does something
Yeah,
totally
she does.
different over here.
And the real question is, can you even believe any of them when they say these things about liberty and less government?
No.
No, you can't.
No.
Well, less government just knocked Birmingham Southern down. Birmingham Southern was looking for a big loan from the state, and that was a big part of last session, where they requested the state loan them money. The legislature passed a bill that said, okay, we can loan distressed institutions of higher learning money, but it will be up to the treasurer to evaluate whether we should or not.
Well, it was $16 million. It wasn't a small amount of money.
Right.
$16 million loan to a private enterprise. Birmingham Southern is a private enterprise. It is not one of the Alabama schools, Alabama, Auburn, UAB.
No, it'd
all
be
that.
funded then.
Yeah, but it'd be funding them to the tune of $16 million. And when it got to the young boozer who went, I don't think so.
Treasurer Young Boozer, one of the most honest guys in politics, probably looked at that and went, what do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want Birmingham Southern or any college to close.
No,
Certainly
no,
not.
not at all.
On the other hand, you are a private business, so you did not want this government interference in your affairs, and so, I mean, you kind of got to close.
Yeah.
If you're up against it and you're going to have to close and you can't do it, then close.
And is any accountant will look at you and say, if you are in so much trouble that you need a $16 million loan, is that really going to fix it enough for them to be able to pay the taxpayers back $16 million? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I think they looked at the facts, and the Birmingham Southern sued Young Boozer and said some terrible things about him, and that's wrong. Young Boozer was following what the law was. It said that he had the authority to deny these loans if he so decided that was right.
And that was Judge Anderson's decision.
And I would have to say again, Young Boozer is one of the most thoughtful politicians. Well, not really.
He's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
He really
wants to do a decent job. He goes into the office and he's just a normal person,
He is.
And that's what we want.
Yeah. And so I'm going to have to trust him that he made the right decision. But we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
There seems to be a new wave of aggressive driving lately.
You see those people, they are the ones that are tailgating other people because they have to get to their destination now.
Weaving in and out of traffic, looks like they could care less about who's around them. There's no one else on the roadway. They're the only one there.
Aggressive driving can be the difference between life and death.
All because somebody thought they needed to be the front of the line and get there first.
Slow down. Don't be the reason that someone else doesn't go home tonight.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. You know, I feel like we're almost working off of a theme here today. I mean, Representative Mac Butler from right here in Etowah County is coming out with a bill that he wants to make it so that people cannot learn in school about anything that has to do with gender or sexuality, in all grades. He wants us to go through all grades, and I think if he had his way, he'd go for colleges too. This, again, is all a made-up problem. It is not a problem that we're having in the state of Alabama. It's not a problem we're having in the United States of America. But these people want these bills like the Don't Say Gay so that they, Josh, can prove that they're more conservative than the next guy. I would say more crazy and right-wing.
Yeah, well, I'll say we do have a problem. What our problem is that we have one of the highest rates of teen pregnancies in the country.
Yeah.
We have one of the highest rates of STDs in the country among young people. So those problems alone would seem to lead most thoughtful people to say, hey, we need to be educating our kids better about sexuality and gender and how the body works, and maybe exposing them to some real sex education instead of this. You know, I'm trying not to cuss as much, and so, but it's this nonsense that we're talking about here. This doesn't help anybody. The kids laugh at this when you talk to them, especially teenagers. They laugh about gay kids and stuff. You know, why? You think that's abnormal? We have like 5 friends who are gay. You know, they don't care anything about this. They've so moved on from this stuff, and it's people who get caught up in it, like Mac Butler, and you have to question. You know, why are you so concerned with this? You know, is it something you're repressing? You know, is it something in your life that you're trying to knock down? I don't know.
Susan, you've known. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, you've known Mac Butler all your life so far, and I mean, he says that he wants to protect our children's innocence. When Mac was a teenager, was he innocent?
Pretty much as naive then as he is now. Yeah, same guy.
I mean, I like Mac Butler, but
I do too.
Why do this? Who's he trying to play with? Child poverty, right? With a ton of issues, homelessness, and with children and all that. They're worried about that they might get taught something.
They don't have any answers for how to address that, so they have to blow this whistle to make sure that they're getting their name in the paper, to make sure that people are talking about them like we're talking about them right now, because they don't know how to address the problems we have. They are not focusing on policies to be able to actually help children. So they come up with this crap and, you know, call that actually governing, which it's not governing, it's censoring.
That's exactly right. I mean, we don't elect people who do things anymore. We elect people who make noise, and that's all they're there for now, is to make noise. Where it used to be, you were reelected. Let's take Richard Shelby, for example. Richard Shelby got elected as a Democrat, got reelected as a Republican, and he did so because he was an effective lawmaker at policy, at doing things, at bringing home money for the state. It's kind of the same way Katie Britt is right now. You know, nobody's really complaining about Katie Britt being a bipartisan on a number of different issues out there, because she's also collecting quite a bit of money and being very effective as our senator, as she's supposed to do. She's getting things done at that level, and that's what we should reward, not this nonsense.
And Susan, when you say crap, do you mean the Coalition to Repress Anything Progressive?
I do indeed.
I just wanted to clarify you weren't cursing. You were just using the acronym for the
because that's what we've got
to repress anything. Anyway, I mean, listen, I understand if you have some kind of deeply held religious belief that, you know, this is all bad.
I don't.
But you know what? it's none of your business.
No.
It's a school.
No, it's not. Deeply held religious beliefs don't have really any place in what we're talking about.
No, it
It's
really
the government.
doesn't.
It's not, and we see what happens when we allow deeply held religious beliefs to overtake our government and the way that we make decisions.
Sure.
We see it right now in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
That's what happens. That's the reason why we have this freedom of religion
Right.
in America and why it's so valuable and important here. And it's to prevent things like that. And every little step, every incremental step that we take down that road gets us closer to that.
And
Yes,
there
it
are
does.
plenty of people who would see the United States of America be a theocracy where they enforce what they believe is their white Christian values
Right.
on everyone. And that is exactly what the Founding Fathers did not want.
100%. All those pages were blank when they started.
And they're so organized on what they actually believe that you got 15, 20, 30 churches in every city that don't agree.
Yeah, well,
On what Christianity
and you're lucky
is.
if you only got 15 or 20.
I was trying to be honest.
15 or 20 of the same denomination that can't agree on anything. It keeps splitting off.
back when they had the phone books, I would go to a new city and I'd look in there and see how many churches and how many escort places they had, and I could figure out the dynamic of this place.
Yeah.
So that's weird, I know, but I just one of those experiments, So anyway, Greg Canfield stepping down after over a decade of service in at the Department of Commerce, and and we were talking earlier when he showed up. I had my doubts.
Yeah.
I even one time said that it seemed like the state was paying him to go on a international kegger. But boy, did he turn it around, Josh.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have to learn when they get into government jobs like that. I think they have to learn how to deal with the public. They have to learn about accountability and transparency and stuff. And I think the better ones, when they get in there, they realize that there's a way to do things that is the right way, and it always takes the pressure off of them. You don't have to worry about what you're doing.
Right.
You don't have to worry about who you're talking to or what you say if you're doing the right thing. I think somewhere along the way, Canfield just decided, hey, we're going to do this the right way, and we'll let the legislature guide us through this thing. We'll do what everybody says, and that's all we're going to do. And we're not going to take any chances on things. And you can look over my shoulder if you want to, because I'm not hiding anything.
Well, he's done a great job, and the state will be. The state will miss him, Susan.
Yeah, well, in his 12-year tenure, he brought in over $42 billion in investments and created 78,000 jobs.
Yeah.
We're definitely
Yeah.
going to miss Greg Canfield.
But from what our understanding is, no vast conspiracy or anything.
No.
He's got his children grown. He has grandchildren.
Yeah.
He's got some opportunities that will keep him at home instead of traveling the world.
Who could blame him?
And who could blame him? I mean, he's had a great
man. Stay at home. Have some fun.
Yeah, he's had
Watch
a great
ball
career.
game.
He's had a great career, and he served the state well. And I'm sorry about the kegger remark. Anyway, you're watching the V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
As a paramedic, you wouldn't believe the things that we've seen.
I've seen all types of horrible things.
I mean, we're there basically picking up the pieces from your worst day.
Everyone is just driving and not paying attention.
We all have the same goal. All of us want to go home alive and safe and harm nobody else in the process.
Slow down. Be careful. Care about the other people on the road. Don't be the reason that someone else doesn't go home tonight.
Today, Montgomery is a safer city. It's time to shift the narrative and take control of our future. We're reopening community centers, remediating blight, and revitalizing neighborhoods across the city. And we're unleashing new opportunities. Over the past year, companies have invested a record-setting $2 billion in Montgomery and created 2,000 jobs. This is a new Montgomery. And together, we're reimagining the possibilities.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. When I was putting together the show, I did not realize there was a theme here, but there is definitely a theme. Representative Jamie, is it Jamie Kyle? Jamie Kyle.
Jamie Kyle.
Jamie Kyle. Is it Kyle? Keel.
Kyle.
Is it Kyle? Ohio. Yes. Well, there you go. Little play on words there, Josh.
I was just
Went right over my head. Anyway, he has a bill. He had it before. He's bringing it back.
Of course he is.
Where Josh, he wants to make it so you cannot help your neighbor get an absentee ballot. In other words, if you're infirm and have no family members, you can't vote in Alabama because you can't get an absentee ballot. If you're in a nursing home, you can't get a ballot under Representative Kyle or Hiles' a bill.
Yeah, it's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. What again? And it, you know, I don't understand why. Have you ever heard of a Republican putting forth a bill that increases the amount of people that can vote?
Not in the last decades or several decades.
I read it. I don't know. You know what? It's always an effort to retract. It's always an effort to bring in to limit the number of people who can do something. And it's just like this bill here. Who cares if I go out and help the entire block around here get an absentee ballot application? Right. Get an application and help them fill it out. Well, there could be some nefarious things that happen after that. What are you talking about? Could be? Are we policing the future? Yeah. You know, it's God bless. It's so hard not to cuss. You know, and it's just it is really, really, really anti-American what they're doing right here.
And the thing is, like, we have some elderly neighbors that, you know, or live by themselves. If they came down and said, hey, can y'all get us our absentee ballot? And we went over here and got an absentee ballot for it, they could put us in jail for a year.
No. That is already against the law. You can't even get them the application for the ballot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is if I help them fill it out.
This is if you help them get an application. If you just go and get the application and bring it back to them, that is going to be a crime.
Yeah.
No, not the actual ballot, the application for the ballot.
Yeah. Susan?
I'm trying hard not to cuss with Josh here. This is the most ludicrous crap again that they're coming up. Right, exactly. I mean, all they're wanting to do is repress voters. That's all this is aimed at doing. They're wanting to make sure that the elderly, who, by the way, most are Democrats, they don't want that. There's a lot of elderly people in the state of Alabama that are Democrats that have been Democrats for a very long time.
Yeah, that's
so.
True, but
you know, if you're talking about, you know, just that alone, they certainly don't want those people voting.
I guess it's the more 65 to 75 or something. I don't know. There's a lot of Republicans.
People with Fox News subscription.
Yeah, I mean, that's
you're right. And and there was a term that he used to describe where someone might go around with these absentee ballots.
Oh, I saw that.
Some sort of a facility or a housing complex.
Yes, that's what it was. Residential complexes.
Residential complex. You could go around to these residential complexes. And now he didn't really define what residential complex he had in mind, but I think I have some ideas of what he was talking about.
Yeah.
He and Wes Allen both, when questioned about this bill, now Wes Allen is supporting it, neither one of them could give an instance where any voter fraud had taken place in any one of these things they named.
So
no examples whatsoever.
And Wes Allen being the Secretary of State.
Certainly, yeah.
It's interesting. I tend to believe that what they mean, Josh, when they say that about those housing facilities.
Yes, the residential complexes.
Residential complexes may be in the poorer sections.
What?
Yeah.
No.
I think it may be that.
I think he was talking about residential facilities in the gated communities. Probably.
Well, that could be.
But no, you know, listen, they always, at some point, because they're not smart enough to not do this, they always give the game away somewhere. And I think the residential complexes comment was giving the game away. This is what they were trying. These are the people they're trying to prevent.
And again, this has nothing to do with protecting the integrity of the vote. This is about voter suppression.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
Ask the previous Secretary of State how safe it is under our current laws to vote absentee just using the laws. Even if somebody comes and helps you get a ballot and helps you fill it, and why do we care if somebody helps you fill it out? You can take somebody in the voting booth with you.
Yeah, right.
Every single day.
Well, you know, this whole idea is because it's starting to be in many parts of the nation. This is not an Alabama idea. They want this everywhere. Because many parts of the nation, there's Republicans, especially right-wingers, are a minority.
Yep.
And they're shrinking in number. And so what they have to do is shrink the overall voting population to build themselves up.
Of course.
Listen, I have no problem with sane Republicans or sane Democrats. I just want competent government. This is not competent government.
No, it's almost illegal government, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're talking about is exactly right. They fear this growing minority that's out there that's going to become a majority and has become a majority in a lot of areas in this country. And they instead of changing policies which would attract a lot of those people who are in their district, who they have a responsibility to govern for. Instead of changing their policies to fit what these people prefer, they want to change their voters.
Right.
And that's the whole idea behind gerrymandering, is the idea behind this nonsense. It's the idea behind all of these different ideas is to not change what we're doing, even though we know and the public at large has told us our ideas are very unpopular.
Yeah. So, Stephanie Bell, who is on the State Board of Education, is one of the greatest public servants in the state of Alabama, in my opinion. She is loyal. She does a great job. She shows up and does her job. Now, Charlotte Meadows, who has been a lobbyist for charter schools and school choice, who ran and still runs a charter school, Lead Academy, in Montgomery,
Into the ground.
is going to challenge her. Josh, how in the world can Charlotte Meadows even sit on the State Board of Education? We got about 35 seconds.
Well, I don't know if I can do that in 35 seconds. All I can tell you is this, you're right about Stephanie Bell. All right, I've been to a lot of those board meetings, been to a lot of those work sessions, and I don't know of anybody. There's some who've worked as hard as she has, but I don't know that there's been anybody that's worked as hard at doing that job and taking it as seriously as she has. And that's all you want. We don't agree on much at all, me and Stephanie Bell. But I appreciate the effort that she puts in.
Right.
And it will not be the same under Charlotte Meadows because I've seen her efforts before.
Yeah.
Well, and Charlotte Meadows is running a Lead Academy into the ground.
Yeah,
What does she really know about
which
education?
has had the worst test scores about any school.
And I believe the state board is currently overseeing her repayment of about $1.8 million in funds that she has to repay to the federal government.
Because they weren't, a little hanky-panky there. Well, anyway, we wish Charlotte Meadows all the luck she deserves. And we appreciate Ms. Bell's hard work for the state, but we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.